All right, texting. 846-719er. Mayday. Hey, there was a beatdown on Causeway Street, boys and girls.
Mayday in Philly.
Game 7 in Beantown turned into a Beantown beatdown. The Boston Celtics decided to bring their brains to the party, and guess what? What was the final score? 112-88? I don't think it was that close. Jason Tatum.
Drubbing.
Jason Tatum, the man that I keep saying who has the fastball that nobody else has, 51 points, Thomas. NBA Game 7 record surpassing Steph Curry. That's called legacy, boys and
Second
girls.
quarter through fourth quarter, he was
the best player in the world. And it's not the first time he's had these moments, but he did it for 3 quarters and put Billy bye-bye to bed.
And he didn't play bad in the first quarter. It took him a little while to get going, and then boom.
But he took it apart. He took them apart, I should say. So this is our segment tonight. It is a super sunny. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
By the way, to all the moms out there, you're all underrated as far as I'm concerned. The redoubtable one himself, Tom Izzo, the highly questioned one, argument that yes, I brought out Larry Joe today because it was Game 7. And we wanted to see, and the question was the other night, which Celtic team would show up. We got the answer.
The real one.
Fit to be tied. Okay? So.
Allow me to set the scene on this Sunday.
Please do.
Okay? So, we started the day with backyard brunch in behind my house.
And kudos to you,
backyard. Sent out the text.
Stellar French toast.
Put it together.
Stellar.
French toast, sausage, bacon.
Quiche.
We had a quiche.
The quiche was wonderful, too.
Brian
Kovac. Shout out on the quiche, too.
The crust on that quiche was...
wasn't that glorious? What a surprise.
Oh, dear.
Brian threw a little curveball. Brian played Game 7 today, too.
No, he did.
He
did.
It was Game 7s everywhere.
You come out, yesterday was rainy, it was nasty.
It was miserable.
And this morning you come out, the sun's up.
Yeah, the birds are singing.
I go out, I start getting the grill ready about 10 a.m. Here comes RJ up the street.
How much bacon was that?
It was at least 5 pounds of regular bacon plus another pound of
turkey bacon,
but it was fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we do that. We dabble.
It tasted like hard paper. But that's okay. Brian said I overcooked it.
No, it was
fat on it.
It was turkey bacon.
Yeah, it's turkey bacon.
It was turkey bacon.
So
this tastes different. Yes, it
does.
does.
Really nice. We were both, talking about the game. Yeah. RJ was a little nervous. But positive.
I pulled out Larry.
Right. He said, "I'm going to go home and get Larry." That's when I knew it was serious.
It was serious.
And
it was serious.
Currently I'm looking at myself in this daylight, and I look like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back from rehab plus 100 pounds. So I feel pretty good about myself. And so brunch goes from about 10:30 a.m. till 3:15. 3:28 is actually
3:28.
When we walked in.
Finally, we ran in and hooked it.
And we put the TV on.
Yeah, right on time.
And Celtics started out slow. They weren't making all the plays. He was kind of going nuts.
Justifiably so.
He was going nuts, yeah.
Justifiably.
But I mean, you were on 100.
I was.
Okay.
It's Game 7.
Because the Celtics jumped out. It was 8-2,
and then all of a sudden
you blinked and it was 9-8. And it was like, what the hell?
What happened?
They started shooting threes.
And not making them.
Yes.
And quickly, I might add, bailing them out.
Right. Down 9.
Yeah.
Down
9.
And you started getting a little down. You're like, look, this doesn't look good.
No.
And then what do you know? James Harden elbows Jaylen Brown in the face. The blood runs down his face.
First blood. They drew the first blood.
And after that,
the game changed. Right there.
And now I'll allow you to.
We were watching that replay. Tom and I were both kind of looking at each other, going, "Why is this taking so long?" It was a no-brainer.
Well, he loses the ball. Why is Jaylen Brown
We thought Jaylen Brown was milking this, but then he got up.
And he's bloody.
And there's bloody. There's blood everywhere. I'm like, oh, he got popped. And then when they show the replay of it, Harden loses the ball, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, the left hand comes out and bam, right under the nose. He hits him. And I'm like, what the hell is that? That's a flagrant one. Now, it took them, 10 minutes to figure this out? I don't know how many angles they needed to see from this, but it was quite obvious from the first one. That's a flagrant one. Yeah. So Brown gets up, takes off the mask or whatever the hell is going, and blood is coming.
I think he didn't have the mask on. That's why he was bloody.
Okay, well, whatever.
For some reason, he after the first quarter or something, or towards the end,
he started the game with the mask on.
Yeah, he took it off.
So anyway, he gets up. He's bloody. Of course, the game stops. They go on. At that point, the game changed, and I'll tell you why it changed. The Boston Celtics saw that, And after that, Philly was done.
The intensity was different.
It was a 9-0 run, and Jaylen Brown spearheaded it. He got the free throws. He got the drive, the steal, right? That awesome steal. Great steal. Goes in, crosses over, rocker move, finishes in traffic. They all of a sudden, that whole thing changed.
Well, and then you have the Niang thing happen on the bench.
No.
You have the Niang thing happen on the bench.
That was the other thing.
That was in the same stretch of that 9-0 run.
The guy from Philly who Joel loves to – well, Joel, you know what? You really have a reason to hate him now. Because this dude literally threw gasoline on a fire. He grabs Tatum, Brown. Brown goes in the Philly bench to save a ball, which he does successfully. And as he's trying to leave, Niang reaches over, grabs the knee, which is shown on the replay.
Oh, yeah.
Brown turns around and says something, and first they teed Brown up, but then when the rest went to the replay, they're like, all right. The problem is they gave him both technicals. Now Brown should not. Brown should never gotten a T for it. But the bottom line is, at that point, the fuse was lit. At that point, it was lit, and it was on. And all of a sudden, you saw the Boston Celtics A game. And I got news for you: Philly never recovered. Okay, they hung with him for about.
We have the maker of the quiche here.
Oh, we're gonna have a special.
We already announced your quiche.
We have a special guest tonight from the Pittsburgh.
He just started.
The Pittsburgh fan base. One Brian Kovac, who's kind of next to time. Get to lean in, Brian. He's a long time. He's the first time, long time. Long-time fan, first time he's going to sit and knock over, probably going to destroy the set. That's him right back there of the Pittsburgh connection, Brian Kovac, whose quiche, by the way, was Game 7.
Game 7.
It was Game 7. The crust at the bottom. Talk about a curveball. That was a nice one. That, to me...
This isn't the first time you guys have had this.
I know, but it was the first time I got to appreciate it.
It's the first time in a long time.
First time, long time. It really was. First time, long time.
Yes.
So, Brian just returned from 9 holes of golf with his son. Did they win?
No.
No.
But it's not about winning.
No, it's not. It's about learning.
It's about
you either win or we learn, boys and girls. And while they were learning, the Celtics were winning. So
I'll set the stage real quick. Yeah. I'll divert from basketball because I know you guys are really deep into this.
Yes.
Massacre.
We're getting a local sports story.
This massacre that occurred as I looked at the score coming
How bad was it?
No, your score.
Oh, that score. Yeah. So you're at the golf course. You're seeing this. You're seeing this. Yeah.
Yes, but
the Boston 3 party.
But as we divert just real quickly, I'll set the stage because I'm going to sell my wife out here as I usually do. So
I'm not. All right, this is all him. Go ahead, fire away.
So as we walk up to the tee box and take a look at the kids that Adrian and his partner are playing, my guy's a little short guy.
Yeah. His
partner's not much taller, but then he's playing. I guess a couple. I'll say 12, 13-year-olds, taller boys.
Why are they playing so much older?
It's just the way the pairings worked out. So I looked at it. I said, this is a game of David versus Goliath. And you know my wife. My wife's kind of like, skittish about everything.
Sure.
Brian, what are you saying that for? I'm like, look at the size of them. It's like they're together.
Could it be offensive to call someone Goliath?
Big people, little people.
Big people, little people. Big people are going to hit the ball further than little people.
Generally speaking, yes. So, that's kind of how it works. Especially when we're talking about kids.
So as we walk up to the first tee box, which is probably set about 200 yards out, Leanne says, all right, they're walking off the green. Kid's like, nope, I can hit the green. I'm going to finish waiting for them to walk off the green. And I looked at my wife and I said, Goliath.
Big people, little people.
I said, Adrian can't hit the green.
No. But this kid did.
A lot of adults could.
A lot of adults wouldn't hit the green, but this kid did.
All day long.
DJ would have been proud.
All day long, this kid waited for them to clear the green.
Did he hit the green?
Yeah.
Yeah. This kid's a ringer.
Well, it was off to the left-hand side of it.
But he was close.
He was close. I mean, he was right there.
Yeah. That's,
anybody on the green would have been like, why are you hitting up on me?
Yeah.
So
kid's a ringer.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But it was good.
Yeah, all right. Well, but again, learning experience. They're young.
Yeah.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
But segueing back to the real game, the Game 7, the bottom line is when they drew first blood and then Niang doubled down, grabbing Jaylen Brown. You missed all this, by the way. Great theater. The double technical came out. Boston Celtics said that was it. They held them off, and Philly hung with them for a half. It was 55-52 of that. That third quarter, Boston hit them with a Mike Tyson in his prime punch. I mean,
it was from the defensive
side of the ball. James Harden had 9 points tonight, boys and girls. They were not going to let him.
And Embiid didn't.
Embiid, I'll tell you what, you said it. Al Horford, he one-on-one kept him in front of him and one blocked 2 of his shots.
Air balls a couple times.
He kept Embiid in check, and they swarmed. They swarmed. The Celtics played defense tonight the way they did when they made their run last year.
Yeah.
They did.
Outside of the first quarter.
Outside of the first quarter, Philly had 29 points in the first quarter, okay? That they wound up. They scored 59 points the rest of the game. After a 29-point free, that's amazing defense in this era when you can't touch the guy, you can't breathe on the guy, you can't do anything. They held them to 59 points the rest of the game. By the way, Jason Tatum finished with 51, which broke Steph Curry's record. You missed this.
From 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. No, it was Game 7 all time.
Right, I think
it wasn't 51. That wasn't that, I don't think.
Oh, I thought they said it was from 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
Because
was it Sacramento?
Yeah, he had like 48 or something, right?
Well, yeah. Tatum broke his record in 2 weeks. 51 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 turnovers.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Jason Tatum pulled a Larry Bird today, and he did it when they needed it most. And to his credit, he deserves a tip of the cap today. Now, the question is, why did it take you 7 games to do this?
No, don't go. Let's not go negative.
I'm not going negative.
Not go negative.
But this is the thing going forward, because we talked about this off the air. Miami Heat are waiting. This is a rematch of last year's conference finals. We both said 5 games. They should take this Miami Heat out team in 5 games. And they should.
Yeah.
That's a gentleman's sweep. I wouldn't be shocked if they swept them if they show up. But this went 7 games against Philly because they didn't show up. And I said to you, their fastball is, but you saw their fastball today. Yeah, that's their fastball.
They're so much better than any other team.
And the thing is, it took a guy getting bloodied. That's what it took to wake them up, because they were kind of sleepwalking until that happened. Yeah. And then they woke up. What's it going to take? Do they need anything else? Do we need anything else to wake you guys up? You are 8 wins from a championship. Do we need anything else?
I don't think so.
Hey, what else does it take? Come on.
Maybe a quiche.
Maybe a quiche with some crust.
Maybe a quiche with the curveball crust.
Maybe some of those fluffy French toast that you maybe.
So one thing I wanted to
maybe
say,
some real bacon.
With
real bacon, not turkey bacon. Sorry, hon. Sorry, babe. Not real bacon.
But I wanted to say this about this game.
Yeah.
Although Boston won by 30, this was not a no-show by Philly.
No.
Boston was that much better than Philly.
It was a 3-point game at the half.
And they
Philly
just
was in the game.
Clamped them down.
Yeah.
Made it so that Embiid couldn't do anything, Harden couldn't do anything, and they have the athletes to guard Maxey and Tobias Harris.
They have all the tools.
They're just better than them.
They're just better than them.
And they showed that when they show up, Philly didn't have a chance.
What I was trying to explain to Joel was, and you didn't hear a lot of this, but Joel was talking about how they can't stop Embiid.
He said Embiid was their kryptonite.
And I said Embiid was their kryptonite. Embiid averages 34 points a game against Boston. Going into the series, in the last 10 games where Embiid played, Philly was 1-10 against Boston. And he averaged 34 points a game, and yet he's their kryptonite. No, it doesn't matter what Embiid does if the Celtics are on their
Boston's
game.
kryptonite.
And by the way, where was Embiid today?
Al Horford,
the Time Lord, Jason Tatum. And again, Boston used multiple defenders.
Because Smart was coming.
They threw everybody. They threw the kitchen sink at him today. But Boston has the ability to do that, whereas most teams don't. And that's why we kept saying.
You have to raise your hand?
No.
That's why we kept saying Boston was the far superior team, because they have a number of ways to lock Embiid down, whereas most teams can't. Most teams can't, if we're being fair. They can't.
But if
the
you're
Celtics can't.
If you're Embiid, you can't let Al Horford guard you one-on-one like that.
Al Horford.
I'm not trying to disrespect Al Horford, but you're 15 years younger than him. Maybe not 10 years younger.
He's 36. You're 25. Whatever you are.
All right, 10 years younger. 9 years younger.
Whatever. Yeah. And you won the league MVP.
Only 25?
He's 25, I think, 26.
No, yeah. I shouldn't have said that. Al Horford is
he's a borderline Hall of Famer if you look at his career stats.
But
Al Horford's no scrub.
No,
okay?
scrub. But Embiid is that good. I would expect him to do a little more against Al Horford.
But here's the thing, and we talked about this off air and we were watching. It was never just him versus. It was team defense. Horford was on him, and his job was keep him in front of you until help arrives.
Right. Yeah,
and that's what he did.
And if he spins, somebody comes down.
How many times did they strip the ball when he turned the other way? Because the help side did what they were supposed to do. That's called team defense. You don't play one guy with one guy. You play him with several.
But
and the Pistons used to do this to Jordan and frustrate the shit out of him back in the day. It's not one guarding one. It's
the
5 guarding
team
one.
Is moving.
And they help and recover. And when the Celtics do that, they are virtually unbeatable if they just make shots on their own. That's all they have to do. And it doesn't have to be threes. They're just going to make shots.
Yeah, it shouldn't be threes for most of them.
And if we're being honest here, when Tatum started his run, it was going to the basket. It wasn't threes. It was penetration. It was dunks. It was cuts. Then he started shooting threes.
Yeah.
He didn't start out
once he
threes.
starts feeling it.
Once he gets, but this we talk about this all the time, and this is why I keep telling basketball purists know this. Shooting is a rhythm thing. You get into a rhythm. You get into a rhythm because you go to the basket, you get comfortable, you get rhythm, and then you start. You don't just start jacking threes. Larry Bird never did that. Yeah. Okay, you get into a rhythm, you get a couple in close, then you start getting, and then you start doing that thing. And that's what Tatum systematically did throughout this game. And once he got into his comfort zone, Philly was done.
Yeah,
it was done.
Yeah, because then at that point, his talent and skill just takes over.
The apex.
And he's doing
the apex,
step back.
Yeah, the apex happened at that point. Yeah. And this is the thing this is why I always get on Jason Tatum, because this is his potential. This is his ceiling. He dropped 51 points on the league MVP's head. Because a lot of those shots, it was Embiid in his face, and he toyed with him. He toyed with the league MVP. That's all you need to know about Jason Tatum's potential. And he's 25. So going forward, this is why I lose my mind with them, because when they show up, this is what they can do. Okay, and again, you're not going to make every shot. I get that. But if you play defense like they did tonight, everything flows from that. And that was their staple last year, and that needs to be their staple going forward. I think that's fair to say. Hopefully, Joe Mazzulla discovered something in these last 2 games.
I can't remember when it was in the game where they were about to make a run. They were about to step on him. Remember, and we were like, do it on the defensive end, and you will.
And all of a sudden,
you will crush them. I think it was in the third once they were up like 9.
It was the third quarter. 9-12. Jaylen Brown hit that 3 to go to 12. We're like, all right, they got him on the ropes. What are they going to do?
Shut them down. And they'll be dead.
And they did. And they locked in. Philly went to Embiid, which most teams would get. And Boston knew it was coming, and they were waiting, and they pounced. And the second they did that, it was over. It was all over, and Philly had no. And I remember watching Doc Rivers just on the bench, just shaking his head, because there was nothing he could do. Yeah. There was not. It wasn't. This isn't Doc Rivers' fault. The better team won.
And then Marcus Smart starts hitting threes.
Yeah, Marcus Smart, just like and Brogdon starts going to the basket. Yeah. It was over. It was a win. It was a landslide. Yeah. And there was nothing Doc Rivers could have done about it. There was no timeouts. There was no one on the bench. The playbook wasn't deep enough. The bench wasn't long enough.
Offensively, they really couldn't do anything.
No, because once the Celtics lock in on defense, this is what they can do.
Yeah. Well, the thing that impressed me...
James Harden had 2 40-point games in this series. Yeah. He had 9 points today.
That just shows you never should have scored 40.
He never should have done it, but the Celtics didn't pay attention.
Especially without Embiid on the floor, he scored
Game
40.
1. This is what Isaac Connie, a friend of mine in Boston, who's ripping Franklin fans. I'm like, what, really? If they had showed up in Game 1, there wouldn't have been no Game 7. If they'd showed up in Game 5, there'd have been no Game 7. Yeah. This shouldn't have happened. True. And that's why the Celtics, the real fans... know this team's talent. That's why they're critical, because they're good enough to blow this team out 4 games out of 5.
All right, so here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Some people look at it and go, they're this good. How can you be that hard on them? And then other people go, they're that good. That's why I'm that hard on them. So both of you understand how good they are. It's just you're trying to say, yo, if you play your best every time, you freaking
effort-wise,
right?
Effort-wise,
you're not going to hit like you said. You're not going to hit every shot.
No,
you're going to make some mistakes.
No,
but if you're going all out,
if you're locked in on defense and you're making good decisions, I'll live with the outcome. Yeah. But when you're not doing that, when Jaylen Brown's coming down, he's dribbling the ball off his knee because he's not taking. That's the kind of shit that drives you crazy.
And there was a couple times where they played great defense, and Philly kicked it out and got a deep 3 from Tobias Harris, and it was like, all right, you live with that.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm not going to eat your lunch for that. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about this team only shows up when it feels threatened. Look at the last 2 games on defense. They held them to below 90 points in back-to-back games. You know why? Because they felt threatened, and they showed up. I've been saying this for a year and a half.
It's win or go home.
Win or go home. Yeah. And then they showed up. At Game 6 in Milwaukee last year, Tatum drops 46 on freaking Giannis's head. And after they blew Game 5 at home, the same shit happened. Yeah. Okay, and this is the problem. They got to learn. At some point, you got to go work. I said this: work smarter, not harder. Okay, work smarter, not harder.
Dude, when as I'm watching it, and we said this during the game because the first quarter, I said this is like watching the Knicks because the rotations were wrong.
Yeah,
the shots were wrong.
They weren't focused.
But like when Horford was guarding Embiid, and then somebody would drop down to help, and Embiid would turn and cross-court pass to somebody in the corner, and they would rotate, and they would cover that shot.
Yeah.
It was like, man, I wish the Knicks would watch this tape and just go, look, this is how you rotate. You can send a guy and still not leave the closest guy open.
I would literally say from the moment Jaylen Brown got hit, from that moment on, I would watch that tape from there to there. That there was the Celtics A game.
Yeah.
Like blood, he's bleeding. They got to put something up his nose. Like all of a sudden, the Celtics woke up.
Both those
he hits both the free throws, and then he gets the steal. It started on defense. That moment, the Celtics woke up.
He in front of Harden. Doesn't run into him.
Clean strip.
Left hand,
and goes in.
Takes it to the rack.
And finishes in traffic. I'm like, that's when the gong went off.
That was a
and that we said like I think the game just turned. And they drew blood. Philly drew first blood, and that was the end of it.
When there's a close game and you get a flagrant that gives you two shots in the ball, that was definitely the turning point.
But it's not just that; it's what happened.
Yeah,
it's what happened. True. And then Nanang, that dumbass on the bench, grabbing Jaylen Brown's knee. How stupid are you? Are you kidding me? This team is
how you can't pull the tech back on.
The problem is Nanang didn't understand that he had just awakened the sleeping giant. Like they're already pissed off. Now you're going to put them in overdrive. Like you're already on the ropes. Now you're going to piss. Oh, that's a good move, Nanang. That's why you never saw the floor again, you dumbass. Because Doc Rivers is going, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing?
Maybe if he had been on the floor, it wouldn't have happened.
Bottom line is he never should have done it. What made him think he should do it? That's a question. What made him think in the internet world, where they have cameras on you from every angle, that you were going to get away with that the world wasn't going to see it?
It was just strange.
It was strange. There was no reason for it.
Why would you grab a guy's knee as he's running back into
You're not even in the game. He should have been ejected, if we're being honest. Yeah. Patrick Ewing walked onto a floor and got thrown out. He didn't even touch nobody. This guy grabs his knee, and he's reaching for it. You can see this. That's an ejection.
And they call a tech
on the guy who turns around and goes, what the hell are you doing? Ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. And the thing is, you know what? Hey, justice was served.
Yeah.
Justice was served.
Philly
got blown up, their doors blown off. And honestly, people are going to blame Doc Rivers for this. If you're blaming Doc Rivers for this in Philly, you're idiots. Doc Rivers had nothing to do with this. Doc Rivers couldn't have stopped it. He couldn't have stopped it. Boston's better. He didn't have the bench. He had nothing to stop what they did to him. Okay, the bottom line is it never should have come this far, but because Boston fell asleep at the wheel twice, it did. And that's the only reason it went 7 games. And you need to get that through your heads. And this is why I'm critical of them. Because if they show up, this is who they are. And it starts on defense. When they play defense like this, you put any team you want in front of them. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Okay? So this is the thing going forward. Miami-Boston, a rematch of last year's conference finals. I got news for you. Jimmy Buckets is a closer. Now, look, we said this off air. Boston should beat this team in 5.
Without a doubt.
Should. Okay? Let's see if they've learned something. Because
if they beat him in 5, that's the sign.
That's the sign.
They're winning the championship.
That tells me. If that goes 7 without Tyler Hero and they have home court advantage, there's still a problem.
Right.
There's still a problem.
It doesn't mean they can't win the championship. But
but why? Come on. Stop screwing around.
Because if you look at the Knicks could have beat Miami.
The Knicks should have beat.
If they had shown up for 4 games,
they could have beat Miami.
They would have. Yep. And if the Knicks can do it, God, Boston could do it halfway. Boston could do it half asleep.
Boston is so much more talented than the Knicks.
Right,
it's not funny.
Exactly.
It's not even funny. As much as I love Jalen Brunson, he would be the 3rd or 4th best player on the Celtics. He would be behind Brown and Tatum and maybe Brogdon.
I think he's better than Brogdon.
Brogdon won 6 man.
I know, but I think he's better than
Brogdon was an all-star as a starter. It's borderline. He's 3rd or 4th.
I think he's better than Brogdon.
I don't know about that. I think Brogdon's just the 6th man on
I
this
really
team.
like Brogdon.
Brogdon was an all-star in Indiana. Brogdon did to Indiana what similar to what Brunson did here, but he didn't have a guy like Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett around him. He had nobody in Indiana. Yeah. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, Brogdon's the real deal. But the thing is, if Boston plays mentally like this, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah,
it's theirs to lose, and they've got home court against everybody.
Especially the way they play D.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's the only thing, is that Miami does all those little things that annoy you,
Lowry. Let's talk about Lowry real quick. Because if this is the guy.
Kevin
he is.
Love is the same.
Yeah, he is. But Love's a finesse player. He's not physical.
I'm not saying physical.
No.
But like he does the things where he steps in front of you and draws a charge that shouldn't be a charge.
No.
He grabs you.
Yeah, he does. And Lowry's like that. And the thing is, the Celtics now they've seen this guy before.
I know, but they're the type of team that could get annoyed and they start playing angry.
The Celtics know Miami's racket.
I hope so.
They went through it last year.
They've beaten them a few times.
They've beaten them a few times, but they know what's coming.
I hope so.
They do, because they faced them last year. And Lowry pulled this crap last year. Yeah. He did. So they know what's coming. They need to handle their business, and rest. If they turn this corner, if they did, we're going to find out, because they should beat them in 5.
Yeah.
They should beat them in 5. No one should expect anything more than 5. If it goes beyond 5, there's still a problem. They're still not learning a lesson. This has got nothing to do with Joe Mazzulla anymore. Okay, this is about this team is set up to win. Yeah. Okay, and listen, there's no way this series should go beyond 5. And if it does, it's because the Celtics fell asleep at the wheel again. I'm saying it now, and I'll say it again.
Yeah, unless something miraculous happens.
Barring injury.
Right. Yeah.
Barring injury.
Well, that's the other thing that worries me is that Miami does a lot of those BS things. Like when Tatum's going up for jump shots, I guarantee they're going to be closing out with their foot under his feet. Yeah. They were doing it to Jalen Brunson all series.
They were.
When he would drive to the lane, Kyle Lowry was getting as close as he could to him.
Look, if we're being honest, Miami's only chance is to muck it up and to turn it into a rock fight. Because if they try to go toe-to-toe with Boston,
right. If I was a Heat fan, I'd be going do that.
You got to muck it up. You got to turn it into a street fight. Because if you don't, they're going to run you over. Yeah. They'll run you over. And the
Jimmy
thing is,
Butler can score 50.
Yeah, it won't matter. It won't matter because I'm telling you right now, one guy is not going to beat the Celtics. No. One guy is not. This is the thing. One guy. Michael Jordan couldn't do it back in the day. There's nobody here that can do it now. Okay, so this is on the Celtics. Congratulations to them for showing up today in Game 7 and Game 6. When it mattered, they showed up. But again, they put themselves in that spot.
Yeah.
They put themselves in that spot, and do not forget that. And if I'm Joe Mazzulla, I'm telling, look, I love you guys, but this was self-inflicted. Let's not do this again. Yeah. Let's not make this hard. If we're better than this team, let's put them down and stop screwing around. Because honestly, when it comes to the finals, whoever comes out of the West, because I got news for you, that LA-Denver series is going to be fun.
I hope
that's going to be fun because you know what?
Sometimes I look at Denver and go, man,
Anthony Davis against Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. and the other kid against LeBron. This is going to be fun. And look,
Michael Porter Jr. is nasty.
He's nasty. Denver's got studs besides Jokic.
But who else do they have?
The other guy, Michael Porter, who's the third guy there? They've got Levine too. The dunk contest. He comes off the bench.
No. Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon. I'm sorry, Aaron Gordon.
I get them confused too.
I get them confused.
But Aaron Gordon is tough.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
Denver is legit. Let's be clear here. Denver is legit. And look, they're the number 1 seed out West for a reason. Now Boston handled them by 30 in Boston. Let's not get, but I'm saying in terms of LA
with everybody playing.
Yeah, with everybody playing, they were equally matched up. Now Denver beat them by 12 in Denver, which it's on a road trip. I get that. There's no shame in that. But Boston blew them out here in Boston. Yeah. The thing is, that LA-Denver series, that's got 7 games written all over it.
As long as Anthony Davis shows up, I think that's a great series.
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. Rob Pelinka put this team in a position where they've got defenders on the perimeter. They can give Denver all kinds of problems. They can win that series if Denver fucks up. They can. And LeBron's still LeBron. LeBron was 39-9 in the closeout game. LeBron is not dying. LeBron's not going.
Impressive. It was impressive to see.
But again, he did it against a team that couldn't play defense.
Sure.
This team can.
Different. Yeah.
This is a different animal in Denver. They've got size. They've got length. They've got speed. They can give LA. Listen, this is not the team LA wanted. LA wanted Phoenix, for being honest. Phoenix would have been the better matchup because they had 4 players total. They had no bench, and they don't play any defense. Yeah. LA would have rathered Phoenix.
Phoenix was thin.
That was I would have picked LA in that series.
Yeah,
I would have picked LA in that series.
Phoenix to come out of the West, and after watching them play a couple of games, I was kind of like, why do they?
They're old and they're slow and they're not deep.
Yeah.
And while they've got 2 guys that can drop 30 on you, that's all they got.
I think I thought more of DeAndre Ayton. But
he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, seeing him against Jokic was kind of like, damn.
He kind of disappeared. But again, that was Jokic, too.
I know.
Jokic is 2-time league MVP. I mean, this is the thing. Jokic is that good.
I know, but you think, like, I don't know. I think Al Horford would play Jokic tougher than that.
Al Horford is better than he's better than him. He's better than him.
But he's old as shit, it feels like.
But again, he only has to do certain things with the team around him.
That's true.
But Aiden's young.
Yeah, and on Phoenix, you don't have a team playing defense the way Boston's playing defense.
Phoenix is 4 deep. Boston is 12.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there. Okay, the Time
all
Lord.
12 got into it.
Yeah, the Time Lord is behind. You had a guy behind you that blocks 3 shots a game. That's a whole different ball game.
Well, you were talking about them playing both of them
together, which was a huge difference.
And my cousin texted me that too.
Yeah.
He goes,
I
love seeing them together.
When they made their run last year, that was the starting lineup. It was Smart, Tatum, Brown, Horford, and Robert Williams III. That was the starting lineup that took them to the finals. That whole second half run, when they were in 7th place, they went from 7 to 2. That was the starting lineup. They became the best defensive team in the league. And kudos to Joe Mazzulla. And I've been giving him shit too. Kudos for him for having the conscience to make the adjustment. He's an offensive guy. He made a defensive adjustment, and it buried Philly. It buried them. The second he put those two in line together, Philly was done. 88 points and 80, whatever it was in Game 6. It was 86 points. 86.
Because it was Horford guarding
Embiid, and they had the Time Lord on Tucker.
And he was the one rotating
to the help side. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Philly never recovered from that. And look, when Boston made their run, that was the lineup that did it. Yeah. So Boston can beat you in a multitude of ways, and that's the other thing. They have flexibility. So we're gonna the Final Four is set.
Scoring can come from a lot.
The Final Four is set. I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday. Game 1 is Tuesday night in the Western Conference Finals, right in Denver. Miami comes up to Boston on Wednesday night. It's going to be up to him. If we want to do a show on Tuesday night to preview the Final Four, it's up to him. I'll be here. I'd love for him to be able to get his breakdown, his thoughts on this. Right now, I've got Boston in 5. I've got Denver in 6 against LA. Right now. Now, we can break it down later on.
Both of those are good picks.
I think they're accurate.
I think I agree completely on the Boston-Miami.
Should be 5. It should be 5.
After
Jimmy Butler, and look, Bam Adebayo is the real deal. I'm not gonna, but he's no Embiid.
I think the Nuggets could beat the Lakers in 5.
They could. I'm saying 6 because I think LA will get 2 at home.
I want the Lakers to push that thing though. And I think it's all.
I think they can.
It's
I think
Anthony
they can.
Davis.
It's not just
Anthony
that though. The
Davis
perimeter defenders on LA are much better. LA couldn't guard a chair at the trade deadline. Rob Pelinka. They couldn't. But defense. They couldn't stop nobody. But now they've got
score either.
No, but again, defense creates offense.
It's true.
If you're a good defensive team, you know what you're doing. You're getting a lot more transition buckets, fast break, which LeBron James in the open floor is all time. He's great.
Yeah.
You get him in the open floor with a head of steam because he can pass and he can finish, and he's smart enough and unselfish enough to do both, which is one of the things that no one ever talks about with LeBron James. And I can't stand the guy, but I'm going to give him credit for that because that's his real strength.
He usually makes the right play.
Usually, and he's okay with it. He's mentally he trusts
almost to a fault.
But the thing is, he trusts his players,
and
I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. And with this team, Pelinka got the guys in there, and LeBron James took a leap of faith and trusted them, and it's paid off. To their credit, he deseres credit for that.
If
we're being fair,
picking up D'Angelo Russell
and Murray and the other kid, Hoochie off the bench.
Murray.
The Reeves Murray, what's his name? The shooting, the white
Austin
dude.
Reeves.
Austin Reeves.
No, he was on the team.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well,
but it was him. It was Vanderbilt, who's a good defender.
Good defender, yes.
D'Angelo Russell. Who the hell's the other one?
Hoochie Mama off the bench. Hoochie Mama.
Yo,
it's Hoochie Mama.
But now it seems to be the Lonnie Walker.
I'm saying they've got multiple people here, and Rob Pelinka made these moves on a minimal payroll.
Rob Lowe Pelinka.
Rob Lowe Pelinka.
He looks just like
Rob
Lowe,
doesn't he? And by the way, Mr. Pelinka, that's not a bad thing.
Not.
But anyway, that's the end of our segment tonight. We said 30 minutes, 33. Actually, we're going to end on 33.
End it quick. End it 9 seconds.
The redoubtable and the highly questionable. We will see you in the finals, the conference finals, boys and girls.
Congratulations.
Get your popcorn ready.
End it.
End it.